In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a high converting pop-up form inside of Klaviyo. Now, this will be a thorough step-by-step walkthrough on everything you need to know, from optimizing your pop-up form to setting it up to fire at the right time. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Noah Franco, and over the past 12 months, I've been helping 6- and 7-figure e-commerce brands increase their list growth, lower their CPA, and convert customers quicker, all through optimizing their email marketing flows, campaigns, and overall strategy. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So what we're going to do is navigate over here to the left side of the screen where it says sign up forms, and we're going to want to create a new form. Now here you can go ahead and choose between all these different types of forms that Klaviyo gives you. However, for this video, we're going to do the multi-step email and SMS. And you're just going to want to name this to whatever the pop-up form is going to be called. You want to make one separate for mobile and desktop. So we're just going to name this one mobile only. And then you're going to want to select the subscriber list it's going to go into. And you want to make sure this is the correct one, because if it's not, it will not fire correctly. So we're going to want to do email list and then SMS subscriber list, of course, to the SMS list. And we're going to create form. Now, given that this is our mobile only view, the first thing we're going to want to do is go to targeting and behavior and go down and select this little bubble here that says mobile only, because it is our mobile only view and we do not want this to show up on desktop. So now we can go ahead to actually creating the form itself. So the first thing that I do want to do is add a logo here, which I will go to blocks and then drag and drop this image icon here. And now I'm going to select the desired image that I want. For this case, I will be using No Baked Cookie Dough. They sell cookie dough that you just don't have to bake. It's kind of in the name, but I do not work with this brand. This is just an example for the sake of the YouTube video, and because I cannot share the actual clients that I am working with due to non-disclosure agreements. First things first, we're going to want to edit the way this thing looks. So you can change the logo width here. For this case, I like 200. 200 looks pretty good. And you can change the padding as well. For the sake of this video, we're going to do all of our spacing and adjustments after. So let's continue on with the rest of the form. The next thing we're going to want to do here is just delete the extra fluff from the pop-up form. So that is going to include this little text box here. That's just pretty much telling them that they're going to get exclusive news and whatnot when they join the list. Customers, they already know what they're going to get when they join a list. So it's kind of just extra fluff to put on there, and it causes more friction for the user that is on your site. So we can just go ahead and delete that, delete block. Then the next thing we're going to want to do here is delete this little X in the corner. Now, what I would do is go to the color, and you're going to want to make this transparent. Perfect. And then just in case, we can make this 1 pixel here, just so that it's a little tiny speck in the pop-up form. The next thing we're going to want to do is, because we cannot just take out the X and not give them a way to exit the pop-up form, we need to add a button in here for them to exit the pop-up. However, we're not going to necessarily make it a button. We're going to make it look more like text. So the background color of the button is actually just going to be transparent. And then what we're going to want to do is make sure that the fonts are all the same across your pop-up form. So for this case, we'll be using just the Klaviyo hosted pop-ins. The main thing is we're going to want to just give them a way to sort of opt out of not opting in, if that makes any sense. Do no thanks, all, aim, full price. We're going to want to also align the same coloring here. For this video, I'm just going to make everything black. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is focus on the copy of our offer. So whatever this offer is, you're just going to want to add it in there, but we want to frame it in the sense of asking it in the form of a question. Now, this can be want 10% off, get 10% off, unlock 10% off. For this video here, we will be doing get 10% off your first order. The next thing we're going to want to do is make it all bold. So sometimes it does not update over here into Klaviyo. So we need to make sure that it is updated. We're going to want to space this out to make the offer more visible and stand out. So what we're going to do is actually just separate the offer by just spacing it out a bit better. In this case here, we're going to do it here. And then we're going to want to choose all of this text color to actually be black. Sometimes this does not necessarily upload into Klaviyo. You want to make sure that everything that you're doing is reflecting on the screen, because if it is not reflecting, it will not be saved correctly and it will not obviously show on the pop-up form. So we need to make sure that everything is staying updated when we're adding it from the left over to the right. So next thing I noticed here is it looks good. It looks bolded, but the offer doesn't really stand out. So what we're going to do is actually just change the color. For this case, I'll be using the colors of this brand specifically. That, as you can see, makes it stand out a lot better, but it is still a little bit off. So what we're going to do is just actually increase this maybe to like 55. I actually really like that. We're going to want to kind of look at this and see what can we do better. So obviously the call to action needs to be changed. We want to make it something like claim 10% off, just so it speaks a little bit better to the customer there. And if you did want to, you could change the button color to something more aligned with the brand. So for here, what I'm going to do is just, there we go. I just kind of made it stand out a little bit more. Take a look at how this looks and see what we can do better. So the first thing I do notice is that this is kind of all crammed in here. We're going to want to add some padding to the bottom of this. 20 looks good, but I also noticed this is a bit off. So maybe we can add some padding to the top of that here. And I just realized you guys cannot see what I'm doing, but I am just going to the padding down here when I talk about padding. And I'm just going to add some to the top of this here. So maybe 15. We're going to take a look and see how that looks. If you ask me, I think that looks very, very good. This is a little bit spaced out too much. So maybe what I would do here, maybe make this like 6. Perfect. To me, this is a mobile optimized form already. It looks good. Everything stands out. It's clear. The button is standing out. So the next thing we're going to want to do is now design it for desktop only. Alrighty, so now we need to design it for desktop. So what we're going to do here is just go over here to clone. Now this is going to save you so much more time, and you're just going to want to name this to desktop. Then we're going to want to continue, and then we're going to go inside of the form. Now, again, the first thing we're going to want to do here is change it to desktop only. So you're going to go to targeting and behavior and then go over to desktop only. So now, as we can see, it is still optimized. It looks amazing. And so this is going to save us a lot of time. Now we just want to add in the desired image. Now this can be a product stacked or a lifestyle image. I do not actually have the creatives for this brand, so I'm just going to get an image off their Instagram and then put it in here. Okay, good. So we got the image inside of our pop-up form. So now we can really, all there is to kind of do is see how we can optimize it to sort of be spaced out a little bit better. Now, there is something I do notice kind of here. This kind of looks a little bit crammed, if you know what I mean. So we're going to want to actually highlight all of this here, and we're going to want to click on more formatting and just adjust the line spacing. So we can see how 400 looks. Not bad. What about 375? I like the way 375 looks. As you can see, 375 looks pretty good, but I do notice this is a bit off. So we can maybe adjust the padding here and just kind of see how this can look a little bit better. So to me, this looks pretty flawless. It's an amazing form. Everything is clear and on point. Now, there is a little trick that I do want to show you guys, and it is called a micro comment. Now, what this does is it kind of just makes it a form of a question before they actually get to this step to input their email or their SMS. So what we're going to want to do is actually just clone this, and then we're going to want to name it micro comment. And then we're going to want to actually drag this in front of it so they actually get this first. Now, what we're going to change here is actually delete this email field here. We want to change this to want 10% off your first order ? You can either leave it the same as claim as 10% off, or you can change it. And then what it will do is I will show you. So yes, please. No, thanks. I'll pay full price. So if they hit yes, please, they're going to now go to here and it's going to be get 10% off your first order, claim 10% off. And then same thing with the SMS. Next, we're going to want to adjust the settings of when this is going to actually show inside of Klaviyo. So we're going to want to go to targeting and behavior and display. So as we can see under timing, this is when your form is going to be displayed. Now you have immediately, you have based on rules and only on a custom trigger. I would just do based on rules and then set it after a time delay. So this is going to mean after someone has been on your site for X amount of seconds, they will receive the pop-up form. Now, this can be anywhere between 4 to 12 seconds is what I've seen work best for brands. However, I do recommend that you test it, but for the sake of this video, since it is an example, we'll just leave it at 7 seconds. The next thing you're going to want to do, the frequency. So this is going to be when someone has already closed the form. When do we want it for them to show up again if they did not sign up? You can leave this to 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, really whatever, you want to do. But for this video, we'll just leave it 7 days, a week later. And we want to leave this box actually ticked because it's telling Klaviyo to not show it to people who are already on our email list because they will not receive the welcome flow twice. So it's just kind of pointless. And then of course, devices, this is our desktop only. So we're going to leave it on desktop and then click outside form to close. So that just means around the parameter of the form, if I were to click outside of it, it would close the form. Now you can leave that ticked on or off. Again, it's preference if that's what you want. We already made this dot very, very tiny, so it's not really going to be seen. So that's pretty much going to conclude the video there. If you did like this video, I'd appreciate it if you can leave a like, drop a comment on something maybe you want to see further in e-commerce email marketing. I do post 2 to 3 times a week on YouTube. So if you do want to check out the rest of my videos, you can go ahead and do that. I will leave my 12 trainings in the description below. And that covers everything you need to get started with e-commerce email marketing. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.